We're all trapped inside. Sounds like a great opportunity for a scrap wood project. If you're watching this video years down the road, now was the time in which we were all trapped inside because of the COVID-19 virus. Physical distancing was an issue. We did not want to go out and get materials. So several of us makers got together and decided it would be fun if we all made a project using scrap wood, stuff we had around the shop. And hopefully other people would build along with us, and it would kind of get your mind off of having to be stuck indoors. So that's what we're gonna do today. I don't know what's in my scrap bin, so I'm gonna dig out my tub, dump it out, go through it, and figure out what to make. I don't know, I'll come up with something. After going through the scrap pile, these are the things that kind of jumped out at me. One, I had a cutoff from a cutting board that I made. So this was a plaid cutting board. It was a lot bigger piece, but I had this one little sliver left over. And I thought this would be kind of cool. So I grabbed this and sanded this down flat. I had quite a few pieces of walnut that were about the same length. So that got my mind thinking. And then I had a couple offcuts from who knows what of plaid. So this is kind of what I'm thinking. I'm thinking a desk organizer. So I can have these as my wall, have this as kind of like a top that pencils or whatever could lay inside it, so I can glue these together. And then maybe one of these can be a drawer front, and I could do a drawer underneath it. So when I put these together, the plaid lines will line up, and then I can like have a drawer that pulls out from underneath. And then I had a few of these dowels. What are these? 5/16 inch dowels. So another thing is maybe I can put dowels in the corners and then do some sort of swoopy rounded profile or something just to make it look nice. And with these dowels, since these are just like poplar or whatever they are, I do have some scraps of leather. So maybe I can wrap them with leather. I don't know. This entire project is supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be off the cuff. That's the great thing about having a scrap wood project. We're gonna make whatever. We'll just go with the flow. I cut a groove in the side panels, and that lets me take the plaid block and stick that right inside there. So now we're starting to see the item take shape. I picked out 2 offcuts from the plaid that I like the best. These would be, one side could be the drawer that I pull out, and then the other side I'll just kind of like, I don't know, glue it and fix it in place, just so that it has some balance on both sides. And I was thinking about the end here, and I could leave this as ingrain, but I thought it might be cool to do like a stop dado. Since I didn't cut this on a router table, what I can do is I cut some thin strips, kind of made my own veneer, and I can glue this here onto the ingrain. Shouldn't be too bad. There's not going to be a lot of stress on this. I know it's ingrain, and that's usually not good, but it's also going against face grain, so it should be fine. I'll glue this on here, plane this down so it'll be flush, and that'll give me a cool stop dado look. I got my pieces here that make up the drawer front and then the back of the organizer. And these are about 1/8 of an inch thick, which is not very thick. And since it's ingrain front, these lines right here are some weak points. And I worry about this snapping. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a board, I'm gonna plane it down a little bit thinner, and I'm going to use this as veneer and glue it on here. That will also give me a little bit more meat on the bone for me to do my joinery, to do the sides of the drawer and the bottom of the drawer. The original plan was to use these strips of wood and cover up the end grain, and that would give me the stop dados for my grooves. But after I made the blocks for my drawer front, I'm thinking something different. Instead, what I might do is I go over to the router table and cut out a dado that connects the groove that has the plaid to the groove that holds the bottom. And if I cut that deep enough that is the same depth as the thickness of my material, then my drawer front should be able to inlay into this, where the drawer front will be flush with the sides of my box. It'll give me a good clean look. Before I assemble all of this, I want to cut whatever profile I want for the front and the back, or the sides, or whatever you want to call it. I found some washers, and I measured these, and they seemed to be about 1 inch in diameter. And when I held it up to the side, I really liked about the size of this. So what I'm thinking is, I will do a swoop, about a 1 inch swoop around, have it come down towards the center, and then back up again. So the next step is I'm gonna go over to the computer and jump on Inkscape, and I'm gonna draw out whatever profile I want. Then I'll go to the CNC and have it cut a template for me. Then we can take that template over to the router station and we can route out both of our sides. These profiles turn out really good. So the next step is I would like to add some dowels that run from one side to the other. So I've got some 5/16 inch dowel. I am going to use the drill press to drill a hole, but I don't want to go all the way through, so I'll stop it just short. We can put the dowels in, and then I'm thinking after that, maybe I'll wrap the dowel with leather. I don't know, we'll see what I got in the scrap box. The dust caddy is glued up and I'm really liking the way it looks. Next step is I need a drawer to fit underneath it. And we don't need to go complicated with the joinery. It's just gonna hold pencils and paper clips and that kind of stuff. So I'm gonna throw together a small drawer to fit in the space. Then I'll use our plaid block as the face frame for it. This is one of those projects that you just bob and weave as you build. And multiple times I said to myself that I was going to wrap these dowels with leather, but then I'm looking at my scraps of leather and it's just really dark brown. And I have all of this brown here on the sides. And I think if I use this, it's just going to feel way too heavy. So instead I'm going to lean into that lightness. I'm going to keep the dowels the way they are. And then I use the same type of dowel to make this little knob for the drawer so it coordinates. I took some time to sand all the pieces, get in the nooks and crannies, all that kind of stuff that you probably don't want to watch. And now it's time to apply finish. I'm going to go super simple with this, just a couple coats of orange oil and beeswax. I know some people might be worried about the durability, but if you really think about it, the finish isn't what is making the project durable. It's the wood itself. If you put a polyurethane over some soft wood like poplar or pine, then it's going to dent easily, even if it has polyurethane over it. I know poplar is a hard wood, but it's super soft. The nature of the wood itself makes things less susceptible to damage. I want to give a big thank you to the almost 20 makers who helped lead the charge for this building event. It was a whole lot of fun. I hope you take the opportunity to make a scrap wood project yourself. All of us took our build videos and we put it into one playlist on YouTube. There's a link in the description below so you can access that and you can see how each of us kind of tackled this particular challenge. And I'll also include links to each maker's build. That way you can take a look at their particular projects more in depth. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please subscribe. You can also keep up to date on the latest happenings in my shop by following me on Instagram. Until we meet again, get in your shop and build something awesome.